Hey everybody. Oh, wait, I forgot to set up my avatar and also the proper screen. Okay. Oh, the avatar's not on either. Alright, there we go. And switch to the correct file. Alright, there we go. Welcome, Jojo, Rain. Good to see both of you. Hey, Dangster, good to see you. I only have one achievement. Jesus Christ. You're mean, game. Oh, well, I'm glad you got a new pair. I have really high quality headphones. Okay, I don't think it's reading my gamepad. Just a minute. Why the fuck not? Hmm. I hate when shit stops working for no reason. Makes it real hard to figure out how to fix it. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, didn't mean to fart either. God damn it. Who the fuck says lesbians can't cook? Okay. Floridians? Well, they're from Florida. They don't get to talk. The state that has like the most weird like fucking stories. No audio either now. Yeah, I know why. It thinks my controller is an audio device. Yeah. DualSense wireless controller, my favorite audio device. Anyway. Alright, gotta reacquaint myself with the controls a bit. remember reading a weird Florida article about a guy who, like, hijacked a forklift and then got hit by a train and flew so far he crashed into a roof of, like, some random house. Hey, nerd, good to see you. Which is just the most Looney Tunes shit I've heard in my fucking life. I think there's, like, a new direction I can go. Yeah, I, like, accidentally discovered progress while I was grinding on my Steam Deck. This game, unsurprisingly, works great on Steam Deck, by the way. Oh, I probably have to power attack. There we go. What is this? There's some games that don't... What the fuck? What do I... Oh god. What is happening? What did I just see? Oh my god! Jesus. Did I ever mention that the people who made this game are also famous for horror games? Hey, Jojo. That was ghastly. What the fuck? I never knew that. Yeah, they made a really popular horror game. That I think it was called Devotion. Yeah, it was a really popular, beloved horror game on Steam. But there was a newspaper in it that made fun of Xi Jinping. So it had to be removed from Steam because China. Sorry, there's like a dash, right? Not quite what I wanted, but... Ow. Go away. Ow. Ugh. This game is rough, difficulty-wise. Right, they also did Detention. Oh, I got a new healing charge, by the way. You might notice I have 4 now. And you can see why I need them. Ow. Ow. platforming. Anyway. Will this break? No? Why is this little nook here then? This game has a great art style. Kunlun Immortal Portrait, a Solarian artifact that can be gifted to Shan Shan. This ancient watercolor painting is said to depict an immortal who appears in every age, sporting the same appearance. Interesting. I wonder if that's foreshadowing for something. Man, I need more healing charges. It's still not enough. Ooh, look at this statue. Wow. Oops, I did not mean to let out the nymph. Oh god. Come on, let's go, let's go. Ah. Well. The detail is phenomenal. Oh wow, the game's lagging? Huh. I worry about my PC's performance. Oh, right. I'm going backwards. I wanna go this way. Fuck. It is very similar to Hollow Knight, yes. This room scares me. The animation on the main character is great, though. Hey, Quidgibo, Nine Souls is awesome. I think I actually like Yi more than the Knight. Both in character design and just how they're animated. It's awesome, just be warned. Very difficult. Ah. Whatever. I also like that he has a personality. Like, the Knight's whole silent protagonist thing works, but Yi is fun. I just die instantly? Huh. Interesting. You saw a video that pissed you off? Go off. Tell me about this video. Silk Song release date confirmed. Oh, yikes. Yeah. Those kinds of videos are the worst. It's like articles where it's like, Season 3 of blah 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 is right around the corner, release date info, and then you watch it, and it's like, we do not currently know when the season is going to release, which is so fucking awful. I hate that shit. Yeah, don't trust anybody else in that regard. Uh-oh. 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 Ah. Okay, it's not instant death, but you take damage real fast. Am I safe here? Is this like a safety bubble? I guess not. Fuck. Yeah, last video I saw that pissed me off was that In Praise of Shadows guy. Ugh. What a fucking moron. Not much. I started playing recently. I got jump scared pretty badly, though. Also, hey, Niru. There was a really scary part earlier that genuinely spooked me. Yeah, the conservative horror controversy, where this guy was trying to tie Wendigoon to the alt-right. Turned out to be bullshit. It was always bullshit. You have to be one of those, like, Twitter-brained fucking idiots to buy into the Wendigoon slander. Made it across. Nice. Yeah, he's Southern Christian and likes guns. He must be a Nazi. Oh, you can probably find that. God fucking damn it. Reddit leftists. The smelliest type of leftists. Ow. I mean, there are plenty of fascists. Okay, those do hurt you, but do they do the green thing?
Dang it.
When the transmutation factory is operating, agitators activate the furnace core, producing intensive radioactive heat waves. These target the genetic target inside the furnace, inducing the desired genetic mutations. It is not known who invented transmutation, but the G Kingdom is the first to industrialize the process. Powerful radiation is released during heating, so lingering nearby is strongly discouraged. You don't fucking say. Oh, hey, this guy!
Say when.
Sir Yi, it's been a while. How fare thee? I'd prefer if you didn't get so intimate after just a few encounters. An assertion that falls short. In these inaccessible wilds, we must cherish every encounter. Besides, to tell the truth, I am currently in a spot of trouble. Would you be willing to render assistance? With your skills, it should be a walk in the park. I shall eagerly repay the debt when the opportunity arises in the future. Let's hear it. There was once a bridge that connected westwards from here. However, it has now been lifted for unknown reasons. I have recently learned that my brother, whom I've been trying to find for many years, resides somewhere across that bridge. No, I haven't beaten, that last boss. I ended up going a different direction. They pronounce it in the movie. Yeah, in the movie they say Hausu. Yeah, technically speaking, you pronounce that word house, but they say Hausu in the movie, and it helps differentiate it from other things called house. Honestly, I kind of wish the movie just had a different title. I came here in a great hurry, only to sigh in dismay. My hope is that you will be able to lower the bridge and grant me the opportunity to reunite with my brother. If it's on the way, I'll consider it. Of course, I shall be grateful for anything. I shall linger herein. Please spend your heart's content, should there be any commerce to conduct. Yeah, I've been looking for you. What do you got? Okay, this must be used to give to, the fucking, like, fat guy with the horns. I can't remember his name. I can almost afford that. The first one, anyway. I've never seen the Three Stooges movie. But I saw Snooki was in it, so I don't think I'm missing much. Jersey Shore is so cringe to me. Like, when I saw Snooki was in that movie, I was instantly, like, just not interested. Oh. Okay, I think I'll be back later. Oops. Ow. Let's go back up. Haven't gotten better? What do you think? There we go. That was finicky. And I'm dead. Cool. Alright. Hey, oh bother. Good to see you. Yeah, I usually stream in the morning and evening. Hey, Wendy's. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ugh. Fire actually damages that one. Cool. Nice. Alright, let's go. What's this? Well, this is absolutely something I can give to the dude. Hey, I hit the parry button. Fuck you. Also, let's level up a skill. Let's see. Talisman will automatically detonate after a short delay, lowering the risk of being attacked during talisman detonation. Backlash. Take a breather to recover internal damage after a precise parry. Alright. fancy. Oh. I'm not sure we should have planted that thing. I'm already worried. Isn't your tree growing a little too quickly? Isn't it great? It's coming along really nicely. I have a bad feeling about this. Let's chop some of it down to use as firewood. I agree. Oh, you're back! We don't know how this genetically modified plant came to be. We should dispose of it as soon as possible. No, I worked so hard to get it to this size. All you did was water it a couple times. Do you think this can grow all the way to the Heavenly Palace-y? They say that those living in the Heavenly Palace eat magic peaches that let you live forever. Don't believe those baseless fairy tales. And everyone thought I was nuts when I told them the real world lay outside the village. Don't worry, Sean. When I find the magic peaches, I'll be sure to pick some for you to try. Just don't cause any trouble. Okay. Here's your poison. This snake kept biting people at the entrance to the village. I've been craving a bite of it ever since. Unexpected, but it has a pretty good texture. Also not as gamey as I imagined. Brr. What? Where's this stench? That's all you. This is a scavenger. It eats garbage and feces. You're going to stink for at least the next 3 days. Do I get an item now? I thought a beautiful place like this would be just as nice to live in. Turns out it's all just appearances. What? The Four Seasons Pavilion isn't lacking in... I have tasted everything I could get my hands on, and nothing tasted any good. I also thought I could get a clean break from the village, but now that you got that kid Sean running around causing a ruckus. And then there's that talking shadow called Abacus. He won't let me start a fire, and he won't even let me dig holes in the ground. He's such a nag. If you don't like it here, you can always go back to Peach Blossom Village. I'd still rather stay here than living with those insufferable idiots.
Hey!
My special medicinal brews can have miraculous effects on fitness, perfect for martial arts practitioners like you. Remember what I said? No poison, no brews. Where would I find poison for you? I just gave you poison. Don't think about it too hard. A lot of things in this world are poisonous. Only they won't be sitting out on the street. You'll need to explore more dangerous or secretive places. Okay, I'll try my best to find some. But I can't gauge toxicity. Don't blame me if you accidentally poison yourself. Rest assured, the poisons I've taken exceeds the number of times you've spoken in your whole life. Okay. Well, I guess I'll get him more poison. Are box jellyfish poisonous? Then I guess he would like that. Although I think he'd prefer, like, I don't know, a fucking, what the fuck is it called? Inland taipan, I think? The most venomous snake in the world? Most toxic animal in the world? Well, I guess. Damn it. You should eat evangelicals. True. Yeah, you can't get much more toxic than that, can you? Next to, like, I don't know, Nazis? But evangelicals are usually fascists anyway, so... Shit. Well, that went well. Doomers might taste good. I don't know if I would call Doomers toxic. I wouldn't consider myself to be a Doomer, but I am at least, like, intelligent enough to realize things are in a rough place right now, especially as far as global warming is concerned. And capitalism. And it seems like there's not really a good way to fix any of that. Anyway, we're all gonna die. Ah, well. Hey, Dom. Yeah. Everything ends eventually. That includes the human race. Something that's gonna kill all of us sometime. It's tragic, but always remember that no matter what, we existed. You know? Damn it. I can't get over there. Fuck. Can I down pogo? Nope. Not the Hollow Knight option. Rip Hoffman? What, from Saw? Does he get killed off? I don't even remember. I think he does. I've only seen the first Saw movie. And I am content that way. Wait, nope, that's wrong. I've seen Saw Spiral. I wish I didn't, but I did. It's atrocious. And also, I lost my income for, like, months, I think? Because of that shit? Philip Seymour Hoffman. Ah. Yeah, I tried watching Saw 2, but it was so fucking boring. I like that Adam said, Saw X is a good Saw movie, and gave it like a 3. Yeah, that's Saw for you. It's not a good Saw unless it's a 3 out of 10. Or the first one, which is somewhere between like a 6 or a 7 for me. I don't know. Adam gave it a 6. I don't know. It has its issues, but there's things about it I like. I prefer 7. 7 is very, very different. Seven is way more intellectual than any of the Saw movies. We never got 5 cream. I will never forgive them for that. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of coping with the difficulty of this game by jumping before every parry, basically. He's coming. Ow. Ah. The Reconciler. I am aware of that movie. I think I saw, like, Big Joel review it. Yeah. That movie is so weird. It's not good. But yeah, a guy who is a literal angel just locks people in a room until they get over their differences. It's really, really silly. It's Christian Saw. It's bizarre. Seven doesn't count. There are no random encounters in Niv. This isn't even an RPG. This is a Metroidvania, you fool. A sequel to 7? Eh, that's unnecessary. Also, the ending of 7 kind of, like, I don't know how you have a movie that takes place after 7, given how the movie ends. Somerset gets psychic powers. Yep. That'll do. Morgan Freeman. The man might have the world record for the shortest cancellation of all time. I love Yi's character design. He's so cool. He's so cool. Bitch. What am I hearing? I hear it smacking. It's odd. Ow. Oh. Wait, I fucked that up. How did it open for me? Oh well. Sequel to 7 that got reworked into a movie called Solace. Never heard of that. Or seen it. Is it good? No, it's terrible? Yeah, I had a feeling you were gonna say that. I think my favorite dumb, bad, like, irrelevant script turned sequel is fucking, American Psycho 2. Where they just added, like, a fucking 2-minute scene with Patrick Bateman, and then we're like, okay, it's a sequel. Hey, Cab. Wait, what if he's talking about the band The Police? Roxanne, turn on the red light. Roxanne, turn on the red light. Roxanne. Bastard. Sorry, the only police music I'm familiar with at all is that one specific part of Roxanne. I am useless when it comes to police knowledge beyond that point. It's very funny that they're called the police. I guess the concept of police isn't exactly something you can copyright. Ow. Oof. Cool, cool. No, Niru, I've never heard of that, but that sounds like a fascinating story. So like a YouTube video about it, like a video essay somewhere. Kinda wanna hear the story of that shit. Oh my god. God's Not Dead is so bad. And, like, discriminatory and just awful. Also, Kevin Sorbo is, like, a massive piece of shit in real life. Like, the asshole atheist professor he plays in that movie is a better person than the real Kevin Sorbo. I like that enemies don't deal contact damage, but they do, like, push you a bit. So they're not easy to, like, just run through. And there goes my money. Fucking cocksuckers. Ugh. Maybe I'll come back to this area later. Yeah, it's just a really shitty, like, straw man movie. Where the fuck is Shan? There you are. Let me guess. The code you wrote broke the weather system. How did you know? That's incredible! It's a ritual all tellurgical engineers must go through. To say nothing of the huge hello world flashing on the display. Oh, that's funny. It says hello world. I love that. Little bit of a programmer joke there. You were right, Yeet. Tellurgy is fun. I can give machines all sorts of wild rules and it'll create a new world. It makes me feel so free. Careful, your free-spirited code may drive your coworkers insane.
Huh?
Really? Abacus told me he could fix any mistake I made. My apologies, Shan, but your most recent changes seem to have affected the underlying logic circuits. I'm afraid the situation may be irreversible. Why? I followed everything the scroll said. Next time, we should probably double-check before executing a script like that, Abacus. Yes, my lord. Please forgive my neglect. What was that? What was it supposed to do? Shanshan wrote a plugin to enable manual control over the day-night cycle. The plugin works, but it simultaneously caused parts of the display to malfunction. This is all just one big coding joke. Yeah, it's interesting that Abacus is called Rui. Ruyi. Hold on. I just remembered I have to, dispute a copyright claim. I should get that out of the way. I got copyright claimed for Ren Fair. That's annoying. I need this video out before Inside Out comes out. No, Aniv, we are not playing Diablo 2 later. In fact, don't expect me to play Diablo 2 on stream ever. Ain't my thing. That might be mine too, Wendy's Baconator. I'm actually not sure. I was like having a conversation with Alex in Vegas about this. Like, I told him that I'm pretty sure I learned of Adam through him. I think I definitely watched IHE before YMS, but I do not remember what my first YMS ever is. I'm sorry, I just wanted to give you a surprise, Yi. I don't think Yi wants surprises. That's okay. What's important is to always learn from our mistakes. You're always going to mess up a bit in the pursuit of science anyways. Got that? Yeah! I like the dialogue. The characters are, like, always worth talking to. First YMS was unfriended? Ooh, that's a good one. That's definitely a good starting one. I'd say that about, like, most of his videos. The only ones that I wouldn't, like, recommend for people, like, just starting out with his content, I would not recommend his Precious review. His audio quality was pretty bad back then, and it's a really cringy video. Or his Nymphomaniac review, because that's, like, kind of an artsy-fartsy thing, and I think most entry-level people would be brushed away by that one. I think it's one of his least successful YMSs, though, so whatever. Like, it's the one nobody talks about. Want to see? It's a painting I found in an ancient temple.
Huh?
A painting? Sure. I know where we can hang it. Should I be looking at this person or this tree? I'm not sure, but that person is probably the Kunlun Immortal. The Kunlun Immortal? Do you know him? He's just a myth. He is said to have lived for thousands of years, attuning to the Tao in the forests of ancient Kunlun. Oops.
Oops. I guess you could also or argue his cyberbully review isn't that good of an entry. Not that it's a bad review, but it's aged a little poorly. With him more or less implying that cyberbullying isn't real. But everyone was edgier back then, so... Be right back. I'm back. Yeah, I would imagine her password was like password 123. Even if the immortal is fake, the person who painted this is super talented. You know what, like, bugs me in fiction? A trope I see all the time. A lot of times computer passwords will just be something that, like, has sentimental value to the person who owns the computer, so it'll be, like, the name of their child, or the name of, like, something else important to them. Which always drives me crazy, because it's like, your computer is really not secure. That's not how you make a password. It's always written next to the computer, too. One month, 7 days. I didn't even realize we had a watch time command. There was a time when the literati fled to Kunlun Island, away from the fires of war. The artist might have been one of them. I think he might have actually met the immortal. That's so awesome. It's all just simple lines of ink, but why does it look so beautiful? Paintings during the Millennium of Inquiry all looked like that. If this is an original, it would be pretty valuable. You know what era had really interesting paintings? The Renaissance. And I'm not just saying... Okay, good night, Niru. And I'm not just saying that because, like, there's so many good pieces of Renaissance art. I'm saying that because there's also a lot of really bad Renaissance art that looks super weird. Well, a lot of art that just hasn't aged great. If this is an original, it would be pretty valuable. Artists don't paint to make money. Yes, they do. Not if you were to ask an antique dealer.
I mean, some artists don't do it for money, but there's plenty who do. Nothing suitable. I like Yi and Shan's relationship. I was worried Shan was gonna be, like, super annoying, but he's not bad for, like, a little kid character.
Bachu, Layu.
Can I take this back to the, boss? That's what I need to know. I want to take her on again. She's, like, way the fuck over here. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is interesting. There we go. Nice puzzle. Oops. Ah, damn it. She 9 on my souls till I yee! Hate ass. Who? His name is not Jimmy. Also, we're not listening to you, Aniv. You can't talk. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Ow. Fuck. Oh yeah, didn't someone say I can get a bow? Where the fuck do I get that? I never really figured that out. Ow. How the fuck? I get back? Okay, that doesn't send me back. That's an issue. How do we get up here? There we go. Okay, okay. Ah! No. Damn it. Why can't I dash midair? Fuck. You unlock the air dash later? Damn it! Ow. Really? You're starting me here? Fuck right off. Difficult games can be so good, but also so unbelievably aggravating. Damn it. Whatever, where the fuck is the bow? I gotta figure that out. Hopefully it's not past that one boss. Hey, Aaron. You have to defeat someone named Ying Zhao. And then talk to someone named Kuwafu, who shows up at the pavilion. You know what? I won't worry about it, because that seems like it's at a point I'm not at yet. Bow is good for crowd control, which is funny, because that's not what a bow does in real life. I should probably grind this game more. The map is designed in a very interesting way.
no.
Hey, November.
Can't get up there.
Oops. Nice. Need to get Adam to play this. I bet he'd enjoy it. Maybe I should grind for a bit where that one merchant is, actually. I can just put on a video or something so we don't get bored. Ooh, new dialogue. You came just in time, Yi. Could you stay still for a moment? Look over there and don't move. Yeah, just like that. I haven't moved at all. What are you doing? I want to do my own version of the Immortals portrait. Can you put your right hand behind you? That's it. I looked over your painting over and over again, and now I think I can make one too.
Could you move your right foot forward a tiny bit? And what are you supposed to be doing here, Abacus? Please, my lord. When Shanshan requested to draw you, I was worried for his lack of artistic training. We wouldn't want to have something poorly drawn. That's how I came to explain to him the method behind watercolor. Add a dash here, fill this with color. And done. A portrait of Yi in the form of the immortal. It's all yours. Oh, it certainly makes an impact. Really? What do you think? Do you like the colors? Abacus, what's your verdict? It is a style that stands out from the market. Aren't you a sweet talker? Maybe I can work towards becoming an artist. You're my inspiration for this work, so I won't charge you anything for it. You want to sell it? Artists need to eat too. That contradicts what he said before. It's okay, you can go and appraise it. I won't get mad. That's assuming I can find a buyer. Oh, he kind of glitched out a bit there. Oh, it's beautiful. A gift from Shanshan. This was Shanshan's first attempt at watercolor after receiving the 4 treasures of the study. The character in the portrait looks elegant and stylish. Shanshan took some creative liberties and made Yi appear taller than he actually is. That's fucking apparent. Oh god, this is the scary room. Well, it's not being scary now, thankfully. Earlier was very, it was a lot. Oh, you can parry the falling crystals. That's fun. Ow. I cannot wait until it lets me dash in midair. That will simplify things so much. Uh-oh. Yeah. Ah, come on. shit.
No, we haven't beaten her yet. I'm trying to get back to, like, where that one merchant is, and then I'm gonna, like, grind for a bit. Try to, like, up certain stats and shit. Fuck. That fucking boy kisser emote. My phone just went insane over a Steam friend invite. Oh god damn it, I have to kill you? Oh wait, no I don't. Ha! Fuck you. Oh no. Gotta go. Made it! Ah. An army of boy kissers. Oh dear. What size? .1080p should work. Also, let's reduce the audio. It's funny how much, like, this, when it's set to 1080p, like, look how much of the, like, look how much of the screen you can actually, like, see. Like, look at how small it is compared to everything. Everything. Yeah, that's one of those moments where a Niv, like, just decides to not make even a little bit of sense. By the way, this new Pyro video, he changed the title like 3 times. What the fuck is that? The worst board game mechanics. That sounds fun.
Dudes, when you and your pals are looking to have a grand old board game night, you'll want to make sure that the little bits and bobs in the game are working together to give you a wonderful experience. Unfortunately for some games, an otherwise good or even mediocre title can be positively ruined by just one bad egg mechanic, sending the whole game on a one-way trip to the, yeah, not doing that again area and your friend's home thrash both physically and emotionally. I mean, let's take a look at the Oregon Trail card game. Released in 2016, this game aims to recreate the feel of the classic computer game in not only a card game but also multiplayer format, as you and your friends aim to get all the way from Missouri to Oregon without dying along the way. The game does this via a randomly drawn series of trails, events, and calamities, all either helping or halting your process as you try to keep your party alive along the trip. And from the reviews, the game seems to have nailed the feel of the classic game, with the artwork and random elements during gameplay taking you right back to that school computer lab where you played the game while the teacher wasn't looking. Unfortunately, the game has gotten terrible reviews online for two main reasons. The first being the massive holes all throughout the rules that need to be fixed by the players for the game to work correctly, but that can be overlooked. No, what people really hated was one mechanic in particular: the instant kill cards. Some of the fun from the Oregon Trail card game is trying to prepare your party for calamities that will inevitably come up, and the panic that comes with trying to solve a problem that you hadn't accounted for to try to save your party's lives. You know what would make that planning and adapting gameplay loop even more fun, though? Instant unpreventable death! My favorite. Two cards in the deck, those being the Snakebite card and the Dysentery card, will outright kill any player that draws them, removing that player from the game immediately. Not only that, but there are 4 of these total in the deck. So if you're playing with a full party of 6, you could lose 2/3 of your crew to unavoidable, unpredictable death. Now you may think that, hey, sudden unavoidable death? That sounds just like the original game to me. And yeah, you got me there. That was a staple of kids playing the computer game.
Yeah, but
Tom Vassell brings up a very good point
game.
about how mechanics might not transfer between mediums very well. When you die right at the start of the computer game, you can just restart it and get right back into the action. When you die turn 1 of the card game off an unlucky draw, you now have to just sit there and watch the other players play without you until they all either win the game or die themselves. And while you can remove the cards from the deck like people choose to do, that means completely removing important themes from the game like the disease dysentery, which is so important to the game's culture that they made it the tagline on the front of the gosh dang box. All in all, a mechanic that
dysentery
assassinates the
line
game's
is
pacing,
iconic.
but at least it is easily circumvented if you would still like to enjoy the title. What is much trickier to get around is when that bad mechanic is basically the game's whole reason for existing. Welcome to 2019. Gas is a staggering $1.83 per gallon, and women are feeling oppressed now more than ever before. The socially conscious heroes over at Hasbro realized this and decided to release a game that would end sexism once and for all.
Hell yeah.
Thus, Miss Monopoly was born. To call Miss
I have a
Monopoly
bad
flawed
feeling about
would
this.
probably be the nicest thing ever said about the title. It seems like almost every change it made to the original Monopoly formula ended up being a flop that just made the game worse. You can't buy railroads anymore. They're now ride shares that just move you around the board. The housing system is gone. You can only put 1 headquarters on each property, which also means all properties are now worth less. You can't sell a headquarters after you put it down. In fact, you can't even mortgage anything either. You can only sell a property back to the bank. It's not a last woman
Seriously
standing match anymore.
now.
The game ends when all properties are purchased, as each person collects 1 more round of rent, counts their money, and whoever has the most wins.
Yeah, this sounds
Please
awful.
Stop. I can only
Who would
lose
play
so much
this?
interest. Amazingly, none of these mechanics are the one I'm focusing on, as at least they were made in an attempt to shake up the classic Monopoly formula to make the game easier and faster, and people could theoretically enjoy these new rules. The mechanic I'm talking about is one that ruins any desire to play the game from all parties, and coincidentally is the biggest selling point of the title, the wage gap. Miss Monopoly prides itself on being the
Hold on.
Cindy, it's great to hear that you've mastered. Cindy, it's great to hear that you've mastered your spelling words, but I need to rescue Carl from space.
My therapist warned me about you, Jimmy. There are no such things as aliens. Oh no! There's me, Jimmy! Hurry, Jimmy Neutron! You're our only hope!
Women.
Jimmy Neutron just randomly being a misogynist kills me. Women.
the title, The Wage Gap. Miss Monopoly prides itself on being the very first game where women make more than men, and
Oh, that's
strong
fun.
arms this into happening through the wage gap mechanic. Women start the game off with $1,900, while male players only start with $1,500. In addition to that, when men pass go, they get the standard $200,
this is so
but
obnoxious.
women instead collect $240 on each pass. This makes Miss Monopoly the only game, at
Gendered
least that I can
mechanics.
think of, that purposefully starts players at a disadvantaged state due to factors not only outside of the game, but outside of their control. Who is going to want
That's
to play this
terrible
game?
and mean-spirited.
Men aren't going to want to, because why would they play a game that puts them at a distinct disadvantage when they could just play regular Monopoly? That leaves you with only the female crowd, which if you're playing with only women, then the mechanic is pointless because everybody's making the same amount of money, and they're
Hey,
not
Misery.
gonna want to play it either. Hey, you want to play this game where you get a handicap for the entire thing? Why do I get a handicap? Because you're a woman. You're gonna need it if you want to keep up with those boys. What? No, screw off. I'm just gonna beat them on equal footing at regular Monopoly. This mechanic does not appeal to either side of the coin, so you might think, well, just play without it, where everyone makes the same amount. And while that sounds nice, this mechanic was the main selling point of the game. It's so crucial to the game's identity that they made it the tagline on the front of the box. And if you take it out...
This might be the first time I'd be like, you know what? I think calling this woke would be fair. Like, I hate that criticism, but like, Jesus. Why would you make sexist Monopoly? That's wild.
all you're left with is a worse version of regular Monopoly. So just play regular Monopoly! Incredibly, if I had to choose one specific mechanic that ruins a gameplay experience the hardest, it wouldn't be that one though. The one that comes to my mind not only ruins the game right at the very end of the experience, but also could result in actual health problems. One-upmanship is a very game that sees players try to collect $100,000 the fastest through methods like stock trading, property acquisition and development, and other big business words. The game has received a less than favorable rating online as people describe
Oh,
it as
yikes.
horribly unbalanced, a slog to get through, the whole 8.5 yards. But credit where credit is due, the stock system that one-upmanship uses to determine the value of your investments is actually pretty cool, and with more polish and balance, could be a fantastic mechanic that keeps players coming back. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for what I'm talking about here, which might well be the single worst board game mechanic ever put to print, the bitter pills, or as I like to call it, the loser's reset. Here's how I understand it. When one player reaches the $100,000 threshold, they win the game, but you might not
Your
like
winner.
that person very much and decide that you really don't want them to win. So instead, you can take a bitter pill, which will take all of your assets, stocks, money, everything, and put you back to zero at the start of the board. And it does the exact same thing to the person who just won, resetting their progress, negating the win, and resuming the game from there. There is no limit to the amount of times this can be done. What this means in practice is that the game will not end until everybody agrees that it should, and no amount of skillful play will net
That's
you a win,
ridiculous.
since one of the other players can always just go, "Nuh-uh-uh," and send you back to zero every time you do. An exciting ending is thereby impossible with the title unless everybody agrees that the loser's
sounds
reset
horrific.
is off the table, a playstyle that is highly recommended if you have anyone in the group with allergies.
Yeah,
See,
murder,
info on the game is
suicide
scarce,
board game,
so I don't know
cool.
if this was fixed in a later edition, if they made those, but allegedly in the first published edition, the bitter pills came with no nutritional information or ingredient list, so what you were ingesting here was a complete mystery. This
That's,
could cause some issues with people with allergies, as there is no way to know whether or not the pills would cause a harmful reaction, and there's no way
they
to
sugar
figure it out
pills?
either. In the creator's infamous blog post comparing being given a nasty negative review by the Dice Tower to something not even
Aniv
close to
has
that,
turned
he
into
states that
Marilyn
there's a
from
PDF
Paper Mario.
download of the rules available on the website, as he hopes that the instructions are clear as to the tactical value of the bitter pills. So, after firing up the Wayback Machine to visit a website that went defunct in 2021, those aren't there. All that's there is the game's cheat sheet, which contains one line about the bitter pills being a last resort, and nothing else. So I am no closer to figuring out whether my poor, sickly child will have to go to the hospital because he didn't want Joshy to win the game. A mechanic that not only hampers the game's ending, but also could produce a health hazard. Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one to top. Wild as it is, though, that is not the only board game mechanic I'm familiar with that could cause serious
The Paper
bodily
Mario
harm.
discourse on
The
Twitter
other
is
stemming
so
from
funny.
the mad dash through Meatland of Mr. Bacon's Big Adventure.
Damn it.
Normally, this meaty title sees players move around a Candyland-style board using a spinner and cards. But the game also comes with an additional rule set for an alternative game mode, the Meat Feast. And it's in this game mode where we find the mechanic we're focusing on.
I'll give you a
the
meat feast.
eating mechanic. See, in your race to be the first to the frying pan, in order to complete what I guess is the Bacon People's yearly ritualistic frying, you will travel through Meatland by landing on a variety of meat-themed spaces, like beef jerky, olive loaf, pepperoni, corn dog, the average Midwest lunch. And the Meat Feast game mode takes advantage of this through its main mechanic, where you have to eat a little bit of the food shown on the space you land on. This requires a massive amount of setup just to get the mode ready. Look at all the food you need to make just in order to prepare for the game mode.
Hey yo,
And the
Niv is
proportions
talking
get
about
bigger.
resistance in
Spinning
Dark
a
Soul.
meatball will force you to eat an entire meatball. The specialty spaces carry their own unique meals, which could include a meatball shish kebab with a pepperoni stick as the skewer,
this is
a hot dog, a
worthless.
Vienna sausage, and a pepperoni stick all at the same time, or a meatball wrapped in olive loaf and dipped in gravy. And even Vegan Alley gets in on the mix by making you eat healthy vegan food. I'll just take whatever the last guy had. While this seems like a fun yet gross way to play the title, it becomes dangerous when you realize just how long this game is. We played Mr. Bacon once,
Yeah, don't
and through
encourage
a combination
overeating.
of unlucky spins and card draws, we got stuck in this Candyland-adjacent nightmare for nearly an hour and a half. Now imagine an hour and a half of constant eating every time you move. Some pepperoni here, a meatball there. Oops, that's the Wiener Wasteland. Eat a hot dog wrapped in ham. Ooh, bad card draw. You're going back to the bologna forest. Have a bologna wrapped pepperoni stick to add insult. Oh no, the Vegan Alley. Enjoy your veggie
Oh yeah,
burger
its
and
stairs
tofu.
are
Oh,
fucking
everybody died.
blows.
Under the right set of
It's so
circumstances,
bad.
this game mode has the potential to cause a real-world death. Something that I cannot say for the rest of the games I've covered, so way to make yourself stand out, Mr. Bacon. Have some bologna on me. Now, all of these previously covered mechanics were all at least made with the intention to be good. Oregon Trail was aiming to recreate the instant death feel of the original, Miss Monopoly was trying to make a point, One-Upmanship was trying to provide a humorous game extender, Mr. Bacon was trying to weed out the weak, all good intentions.
Weed
But how
out
about
the
a mechanic
weak.
specifically designed to make the game as unbearable as possible? This is WWB, or World's Worst Board Game, which ironically didn't win the worst board game of all time tournaments. It was knocked out of the second round because nobody likes a bragger. This
What do you
2011
mean?
title sees players attempt to advance up numbered cards from 1 to 100.
Of course, it's one of those shitty meme board games. Yeah, those are pretty awful. My sister won one of those at like I forget what it's called, but like she won like a meme card game and it was so cringe. Also, there was only one meme, Bad Luck Brian. The rest of the so-called memes were ones I had never seen before and don't think were even real memes. Also, Bad Luck Brian is fucking ancient.
And be the first one to the finish card to be the winner. The game aims to be as awful an experience as possible, featuring gameplay features like making you write all the numbers on the cards yourself, rolling dice to move, and that is all you can do in this game. This would be tedious to get through if not for the mechanic that I'm talking about, which instead makes the game borderline impossible, the reset roll. See, on the die you are given, you are supposed to write the number 5 on one of the sides. Every other side remains blank. Then you roll to start. If you don't roll a 5, nothing happens and it's the other player's turn. If you do roll a 5, then you get to roll the die again. And if you roll a second 5 in a row, you get to move one space forward. Awesome!
Yeah, he was
Other
more
player's
lucky than
turn,
we
no
thought he
5.
was.
Your turn, no 5. Their turn, no 5. Your turn, wow, a 5! You get to roll the second die again. Fantastic! Roll it. Oh, no 5. That's okay though. What happens now? Well, if you roll the second die and it's not a 5, you immediately go back to the start of the game.
Huh?
Yep,
Are you
no matter
fucking-
where you are
oh,
on the board,
God.
any roll on that
Well,
second
this is
die that
supposed
isn't
to be a
5
bad
will
board game,
immediately start your game
so-
over, making this game not only incredibly frustrating, but downright impossible for any mortal without superhuman luck. 3 separate computer simulations have been run in order to try to finish this game. The first of which reaching space 13 after only 28 billion turns, before the entire simulation crashed. The second reaching space 14 in 786 billion turns before the entire computer crashed and corrupted the save file. The final simulation made it the furthest,
Wild.
as player 1 managed to hit space 17 on just turn
Yeah.
35,409,637,192,000.
They had to do something like the fucking simulation that, like, the Minecraft speedrun mods had to use to prove Dream cheated, basically.
$659. Can you guess why the game stopped this time? If you want more of this nonsense, Beer Money Engine should be running some more Sims soon, so give his stuff a look. This one mechanic somehow makes the game reasonably
What am I looking
impossible
at?
to
What is this
finish during a
footage?
single human lifespan.
Grandpa got
So
a
in terms
weed
of
hat.
functionality, I don't think it gets much worse than that. But there does still stand one more game that I'd like to talk about. With
My
mechanics
grandpa,
less
after having
poorly
one
designed
edible and then
more
deciding
morally
he's a
bankrupt.
stoner.
Everybody give a rousing round of nothing for Fatal! The 2002 pen and paper RPG is widely regarded as possibly the worst tabletop RPG
Oh, I've heard of this.
all time. But
Yep,
I won't handle
it's
the
very
introductions today.
offensive,
Instead,
I
I'll let the
believe.
game's theme song do that for me.
It's the best role-playing game that there could be. Crazy adventure to adult luxury.
If I recall correctly, there's also a card called, something of, Jewy Jewbacca, and it's as offensive as you think it is.
This is gonna be a good one. What is there to say about Fatal that I can actually say on this platform? Not a lot, there's not a lot. I'm dancing in a minefield here. To start off, let's
It's
just
pretty
see
bad.
what the back of the box has to say
It's
about
very
the game.
edgy.
Fatal is a role-playing game like no
Fatal is the anal cunt of board games.
other. The largest game book ever printed, Fatal has over 150 occupations, 200 skills, and 500 spells. Fantasy gamers have never seen this degree of historical and mythological accuracy, nor detail and realism. Okay, interesting. Complexity isn't always a good thing, but that's why people love North Africa so much. Let's see what the creators have to say about their game. Co-creator James Hausler described the game as highbrow, with complex philosophical themes, and that it was ahead of the curve. He also said that it was intended to revolutionize gaming, and had the potential to be a massive commercial success. This thing sounds awesome. Let's see what the reviewers had to say about the title. One of the most controversial games ever released. The Necronomicon of role-playing games. Designed by misogynistic human accidents. Heinous and despicable. You're in for a fun ride if you consider a fun ride to be hitting your sack with a tack hammer for about 4 hours. You'd think the authors are
That's
trying
just
to make
CBT.
themselves look like they're prime candidates for institutionalization. Saying that this game should be burned is an insult to fire. That's a slight difference in opinion. Alright, no more beating around the bush. Fatal contains the largest amount of disgusting, depraved, and downright despicable
Yeah,
mechanics that have
4chan,
ever had
basically.
the displeasure to be written in a readable language. I will now flash for exactly 1 frame some of the stuff in this game that I am unable to talk about. Do not pause to read it, as it will genuinely ruin your day. Now that the horror
I do not care. Extensive rules and mechanics for rape. Magical items that force mass... What? What is that? MAS? What is that supposed to be? It's censored. Anyway. Magical items that force bestiality. An equation that determines your character's percent of Gaining retard strength. Oh my god. Masturbation. Okay, that makes sense. Have her cadaver, a spell that makes a dead woman look alive so you can... Yeah. Oh, lovely. A lengthy explanation as to why the game's rape clubs are vital to the lore. Quoth the game, sexual violence is an everyday dimension of community life. The magical miscast effects I could bring up later, including Castor becomes a serial rapist, Castor now prefers mating with farm animals and is a zoophiliac, Nutsack of Castor swells to 10D1000 in volume for 3D3 days. What? And dozens of worse actions, spells, and effects that I couldn't bring myself to write.
Now that the horrible stuff has been covered, let's instead go to the funny stuff to lighten up the mood. Yeah! Fatal is beyond complex, featuring a slim total of 900 pages of rules to be read through. Awesome, I'll get right on that. Within this bile-filled PNG are mechanics that dwarf all the other ones.
Cards Against Humanity isn't even good either, to be honest. In retrospect, it's not very funny. Alright, let's go. He just ate it without a second thought. You could smell it, right? For something that's been fermented, the smell's not that bad. But it's animal feed. So what? If livestock can eat it, why can't I? Did you know that animal feed can sometimes taste better than the food we eat? Can I... Give me your stupid fucking drink. There we go. Let's go. Bottoms up. It's been a while since I met my match. The others in the village can't keep up, and they won't even try. Bunch of cowards. Good drinking buddies aren't easy to come by. Drunk Yi is very funny. I love how red his face is. Though I did have a couple of buddies back in my hometown. Oh, how's the alcohol there? We should go try it out one day. If you were to go from here to my house, you could walk for a lifetime and never reach it. There goes the drunkard, talking nonsense. There isn't a single place I can't walk to. Max health increase, nice. Alright.
Ones I've covered so far. Some shocking, some broken,
It's only
some
unfunny if you're
genuinely
playing with
confounding,
unfunny
all of
people.
them
No,
bad.
the
Let's
cards
take a
aren't
look at
very
some of them,
funny.
shall we? A deep and intricate character creator system. You have little to no choice over your character's anything, as it is all determined by dice rolls, which could take you well over 2 hours to complete analog. 20 different
I don't like
attributes
that,
for your
by the way.
character. None of them correlate.
I
meaning
don't
that
like doing dice rolls for, like, RPGs. I think it's way more balanced and fair to have, like, allocated points, basically.
your average speech rate can actually end up higher than your maximum speech rate. Dozens of character traits to make your character unique. Again, no player choice is allowed, as dice rolls determine stuff like eye color, hairstyle, sexual
Oops.
orientation.
Oh,
Not
what?
reading that. Not reading that. Jiminy freaking Frost.
What?
A detailed list of spells that can be cast to either help you or hurt your enemies. These include Greater Harm, Bestow Age, Force Fart, Bestow Ulcer? These people are lower than animals. A magical miscast system, where spells that go wrong could have unintended consequences. Hey, that actually sounds really cool. What are some of the effects? Oh, they're all horrible. They're all disgusting. Awesome. Glad I got my hopes up for that. A widespread magical item list full of whimsical objects to be discovered. Let's have a look at one. Armor that turns the wearer into different ethnic stereotypes.
There it is. There's the one I was
Is
talking
any of this
about.
designed to be fun? Was fun ever even a part of the equation? Is there a single good mechanic in this entire game? There are definitely more mechanics that I left out. Trust me,
It's just an
way
edgelord
worse.
game.
Forget it. If you want a comprehensive review of the title
Basically
with
a
all of the
shit
nasty
post.
parts left in, I've linked the famous McLennan-Sarton review of the game, which is pretty much the definitive review of the title. Content warning for the entire everything. Wow, that was certainly an adventure. I think we all found out a lot about what makes a great game mechanic. So when I'm designing my newest board game smash hit, I'll just have to keep in mind all we've learned today. Limited
I tried
research,
looking up a
minimal.
review of Fatal and got, like, the most dated, cringy, like, that guy with the glasses style, like, review, where they had a plot line, and it's like, oh, we're stuck inside this parallel dimension, and the bad guy won't let us go until we finish the bad board game, and I cringed to death and shut it off.
Playtesting and endangering lives. This is gonna be stellar. Signing off, I am Cam Sandwich. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.
Worst board game themes.
How's it going, dudes? The board game world is populated with titles of all shapes and sizes, so in order to get your game to stand out, you'll want to give it an eye-catching theme that will bring in those customers. Or if you're out of ideas, just default to poop. A board game's theme gives a game life. It's what transforms it from a bland board with pieces into a mystical journey through a living nightmare. The theme of a game will
Candyland,
play a major part in whether it will be a success or not. For example, I don't think Coup would have been as big of a hit if it was based around a homeowners association. This importance makes seeing a game with
The
genuinely
coup of the
awful theming even
homeowners
more
association.
As you know, a ton of corporate
was a
time
wild
and money went
time.
into the decision of Dog taking a crap. Doggy Doo, also known as Cackle Dackle to the Germans, is a game that sees
Cackle
players compete
Dackle.
to be the first to collect
That's
3
amazing.
doos on their shovel to win. To play this masterpiece, you
Gross.
must first feed the dog, which will then let you roll the dice to pump the leash and hope that one of your pumps drops the poo onto your shovel. I recall seeing tons of commercials for this product and thinking, that's really weird. Apparently that line of thinking
It does
was
look
wrong because
familiar.
The general public went, oh, poop dog, and just tossed
I might have seen
money
a
at this
commercial
thing.
for it
Fecal Fido
once.
sold like crazy, bringing
There were a
in
lot
enough
of
doggy
toys
dough
that, like,
to warrant
shit
not
and
only
piss,
an
though,
improved
which I
re-release,
never
but a
got.
spin-off Corgi edition. Thank goodness, this guy was really starting to weird me out. Ad time! No, not a sponsorship, it's our next game. Advertising. Don't you just love ads? When you tune into a show, you really just want to see the ads, right? Well, now you can play a whole board game based around ads. Advertising is the 1988 trivia
Okay.
game where you try to match advertising slogans and jingles to their products to be the first to advance to the top of the corporate ladder. A board game centered around seeing what advertising campaigns worked on you sounds like a treat, but don't forget this baby hits you with the twofer. The game itself is an advertisement for these brands, as you are trying to remember what slogans go with each product, and with 2,100 different slogans and 8,400 different products to choose from, I think this might be the most tightly packed marketing ploy I've ever seen. But marketing ploys dressed up like trivia games are all over the place. Let's take a look instead at one of the worst attempts at those coming from your friendly media giant, the NBC TV news game. This
Oh, that's
1962 release
interesting.
sees players move tokens around the board to answer questions about topics like national capitals or current events, all while under the watchful gaze of famed NBC
killed
news anchor
Hannibal?
Chet Huntley. What could be more exciting than that? Leprosy? Flop your massive copy of the NBC TV news game on the table at game night and watch in awe as you get a resounding, huh? From your friends. Not only would this be the single most dull experience I could think of from
It
the
looks
genre, this game
very
is also
old.
going to be extremely difficult due to how old it is. How many of your friends are going to remember the newsworthy current events of 1962? Coco the Clown?
Yeah,
On
that's
the
aged
TV?
well.
Who could forget? At the very least, you do have questions that relate to nations' capitals, so those are going to be relevant for new players. You know, if those countries still exist and all. This can be a big aspect to a game's theming, how well that theme can age. The most popular games are timeless.
Good
Their
night,
themes can be
Dom.
understood no matter what year they were played in. But if your game's theme is built around a specific aspect of your time period, it could end up being aged out, which will have a negative impact on future players' ability to enjoy the game.
My mom showed me an episode of, like, a really old, like, comedy, news show, kind of like The Tonight Show, almost. And there was not a single joke I was getting. It kept referencing, like, all sorts of historical events that I didn't know about. So I was just confused.
This is the problem that plagues Power Lunch, the 1994 game that sees players attempting to sit groups of celebrities at lunch tables and come up with wacky scenarios as to why those people are sitting together in order to score points. This may have been a great theme to start, but the game runs into a slight issue nowadays.
That's how I feel
as
about
these are
MST3K.
specifically celebrities from 1994.
Yeah,
While some of the people have
MST3K
managed
is
to
a
find
little
ways to keep
aged.
themselves relevant, there is a good chunk of the roster that are just flat out nobodies to the common man. Most of your rounds are probably going to look like, now hold on, what are Ted Koppel, Oliver North, and Helmut Kohl doing having lunch together? Well, isn't it obvious? Irrelevancy is not the only way a game can be aged out though, as things that were seen as the standard in the past might be looked back on negatively by people of the future. That's right, no more ticky-tack, that wasn't the best idea themes, I know what you're here for, let's get controversial! Travel back with me to 1966
We're
to
not
play
about to see
a
blackface,
fantastic
are
little
we?
title known as What Shall I Be? The exciting game of career girls. This game sees
no.
players compete to be the first to become a career girl by collecting the right school, subject, and personality cards to land their dream job. And the jobs on display here are only the most premier in female employment opportunities, like
Yeah, quick reminder of the way women reviewed back then. This ketchup ad. Great ad. Very nice. It would fit well on Spike TV.
teacher, nurse, actress, ballet dancer, model, and airline hostess. Well, there's all the girl jobs. Go on, take your pick.
Lovely.
These obviously didn't age well, but never fear. I'm here to make everything worse. Each job comes with its own school that you will need to go to in order to qualify for it. But they couldn't exactly figure out what people do in order to become models, so F it, send them to the charm school, I guess. In addition to that,
Charm
you are going to
school?
need to have the right
You been to
personality
charm
for your
school?
job. But you can not only get positive personality traits like being pretty, strong, or emotional, you can also get negative personality traits like being a slow thinker, clumsy, or overweight. Not a single
Oh.
portion of this thing aged well, which honestly makes it really funny to look at, but what separates this game is that all of its controversy was
Only there was a charm
unintentional.
school in
Our
Persona
remaining
3.
games not only knew that they would bring
would
in that
simplify
controversy,
things.
they were probably counting on it to sell. I'm going to read the front of our next game's box word for word and let you guys try to figure out why it's here. Ready? The game where you become a Jewish mother. Get your sons to become doctors. Get your daughters married
no.
to doctors. If not,
Oh no. I think Scoot would love this game.
oy vey. I'm
Oy
surprised this one
vey.
didn't take off.
How come you never call anymore? Why don't you ever call anymore? You're so skinny too. You should eat up. Come on, eat up.
What am I looking at here? Look at the box! Look at the board! What do you want me to say? Oh, ages 12 and up, a perfect gift for the kids. I'd honestly love to go more in-depth about the game, but there is surprisingly little information online about a 1979 board game called Oy Vey. So what I'm looking at here is pretty much all I have to offer until I can acquire a copy for myself. Even though I don't have as much as I'd like to on Oy Vey, I can offer up plenty of information regarding a certain company we've run into here before. Ladies and gentlemen, Hammerhead Enterprises. Longtime fans of the channel are well acquainted with Hammerhead, as these are the goobers behind everybody's favorite board game brothers, Public Assistance and Capital Punishment. Both of our brothers here carry some great themes to break out at Family Game Night, with Public Assistance being the anti-welfare game made to protest the Carter administration's welfare policies, and Capital Punishment being a pro-death penalty game where the aim is to get all of your criminals sent to death row. Drop these babies off at the family Christmas and sit back and watch the fireworks. Since I've covered both games before, I'll keep this segment brief and focus on the main difference between the two. That being that Capital Punishment is actually a really good game with a controversial theme holding it back, and its older brother, Public Assistance, is just abysmal. Capital Punishment's gameplay is an excellent combination of risk-reward decisions that will test a player's resolve as they attempt to move throughout the board without getting caught, while Public Assistance is an unbalanced mess that relies on luck for the entire experience. Neither of them lasted long in the retail space before being removed from stores for being too controversial. No idea where they got that from. As these games both relied on the shock of their themes to drive their message home, they come with some pretty funny nonsense due to the extreme nature of the situations they present. At the same time, both games also contain really disturbing portions that are guaranteed to ruin the fun. Funny nonsense.
Working person's burden. You are up for a high-paying promotion, but government affirmative action rules require that a disadvantaged minority, homosexual Buddhist female, be promoted over you. Lose $500. Sacrificing liberals. When a player has only one innocent citizen remaining, he may sacrifice a liberal as a victim instead. This tactic may rid him of one or both of his defense pieces, but may afford him the opportunity to win offensively. Great, very nice game.
Nature of the
How tactful.
At the same time, both games also contain really disturbing portions that are guaranteed to ruin the fun of the night as well, so you take the
Also, Nazis still
When
make that kind of joke.
I've kept the Hammerhead section brief since both of those games have gotten their time in the spotlight, and since then I've uncovered more whack crap games with even more whack. One frame trick again, go!
I don't know if being there for just one frame matters. Working person's burden. Your brother is killed by a rehabilitated murderer. Lose one turn for mourning. Oh my god. Working person's burden. Your sister is raped by a paroled rapist. Lose one turn. What the fuck? Maneuver your murderer, racist, arsonist, and kidnapper along the
I've kept the Hammerhead section brief since both of those games have gotten their time in the spotlight.
Great content.
And since then, I've uncovered more whack crap games with even more whack crap theming that I hope might stand up to our delinquent duo. Let's get a little more recent by jumping up to 2005. Ha! That was 19 years ago. And a little card game with a very subtle title known as Pimp the Backhanding. Pimp the Backhanding is a standalone card game where players, quote, mack some hoes and put them to work as they attempt to make the most money over 3 rounds. This is done over 3 phases in each round, which I will now try to explain without using any language that could trigger the age censors. Phase 1, the macking phase. Use your employers to attempt to recruit freelancers to your turf. There are only so many potential employees available though, so you'll have to out-recruit your opponents. If you fail this stage though, you can still get back at them in Phase 2, the backhanding phase. You can now hamper your opponent's completely legitimate business by hampering your opponent's businesswomen. Any laborers that have been dissuaded are unable to make money, so you can use your managers to defend them. Once all the actions have been carried out, the final phase begins. Phase 3, the money laundering phase. Your
Oh, fun.
workforce is now free to carry out the operation, and you can now count the money you made and add it to your score before starting the next round. All throughout the game, you are able to use modifiers or dirty trick cards to affect your score, adding more to the game's strategy element. Yukiho is quite the specimen, as it was definitely
is that
designed to trigger a
Uncle
negative
Ruckus?
response from
Like a young
audiences
Uncle
based on the
Ruckus?
statement included with the rules. But at the same time, it is very easy to tell that a lot of effort and care went into the development of the rules, art direction, and game balance, which makes 2 deep standalone card games wrapped in controversy for depicting women as sex objects released in 2005. How?
Jesus.
This is Winch, the drinking man's thinking game, also known as a nightmare for me to
Oh,
censor all
no.
these pictures so I don't get my channel assassinated. The Winch deck comes with 52 cards depicting women in various provocative poses and states of undress, and functions in 2 ways, for regular card
nothing
play
objectifying
and for playing
here.
Winch itself. See, each of the Winch cards comes with traditional poker symbols, meaning that these cards can easily be used as a proper deck for any traditional card game whenever the need would arise. Hey, I'm hankering for some Hold'em. Anybody got any cards? No! The real meat from these cards comes in the form of the game of Winch itself, which functions as a more complex form of Uno where players compete to get rid of all their cards first. The gold and blue cards each have different functions, and every card carries its own effect that will either assist in getting rid of your cards, aid in adding cards to your opponent's hands, or establishing penalties in an attempt to trip up the other players. A major part of Winch is these passive penalties established by the cards, as the more rules that are added and subtracted by the cards, the more difficult the game is to keep track of. Whoever has the most points at the end of the games loses, and is declared the Winch of the evening, and must pay whatever punishment was agreed upon at the beginning of the sessions, which could be anything.
Lovely.
Do 50 push-ups, pay for pizza for everyone, power wash the deck, commit an international
So
incident,
much
whatever
of this
group
is
is
just
feeling the time.
misogyny.
Obviously, the main selling
What
point
is
of the
wrong
game is
with
the
like
classy
old
artwork,
dead
which
people?
was put together by some guy named Monty Michael Moore, who has also done work for a couple small enterprises like Magic the Gathering, DC Comics, and
Oh.
Lucasfilm, Winch obviously going to the top of that resume. Okay, we're running in circles here. Besides a few stragglers, we've only been able to look at good games with bad themes, but I want straight garbage all throughout. I want a series of games that is not only baffling for how bad the theming is, but equally as confounding when you look at how it's meant to be played. Luckily for you, I have just the company we're looking for, with a small company that specialized in goober activities throughout all of their games, Diplomat Sales Co. I can't find anything
Okay.
on these guys. No year they formed, no year they went out of business, no company records. They sort of just materialized without warning one day. The only things left behind by Diplomat were the 3 games that populated their library, and I think there is no better place to start than by covering their most iconic title first. Diplomat's very first release was a title that many a fan of this channel are already well aware of, the 1969 classic Adultery. Yes, the same game that
my.
ravaged the worst of all time tournament is not an only child, having 2 secret younger siblings that follow in their brother's footsteps. But before we get to those, let's take a deeper look into the original title and see what made it so special. Adultery is a party game meant for groups where the object of the game is to spend a good time with 2 different players of the opposite sex. The game takes place over 2 phases. In the first phase, players will each spin the spinner, and where the spinner lands will determine what time token they
Remember
will
the
get.
fucking guy
Each player
game?
spins
That
3
was pretty
times,
bad.
collects their tokens, and then places their names into their respective gender's hat. That is when the completely neutral third-party referee, who was apparently here the whole time, starts the second phase. The ref will take 1 name from the male player's hat and 1 name from the female player's hat, and those 2 are now tasked to go to a designated private part of the house where they will now participate in actual real-world adultery until their combined time is over. Mind you, while the actual real-world adultery is occurring in the other room, there is literally nothing for the other players to do. They have to just sit around like, so, come here often? So, now that you know how to play,
I love a game that
don't.
makes my husband cheat on
This is
me.
the single best example you can provide for a game that was made for nobody. The general public is not going to want to play this game due to the literal crime being mentioned as the game's main draw. No thanks, I'm more of a wire fraud guy. So that leaves this game up to people of the
Oh, we have a
variety,
board game
except
for you
no,
then.
It really doesn't.
We've
Now,
called it
granted, I've never
Watergate.
been to one of these get-togethers, but I can't imagine that a series of rules and timers being strictly enforced by a neutral third party while all but 2 participants are forced to
Watergate
refrain
board
from any
game would be pretty
activities until
wild,
it is
actually.
their turn
What would you
or
even
what these
do?
people are going for. If
Just
it is though,
tap
buddy, you are
phones?
$40 plus shipping away from heaven. Get moving. Our final takeaway from
Oh,
this
wait.
thing is to keep in mind that the amount of people that have caught an STD due to playing
okay,
a board
this
game is
can
most
protect
certainly
you.
greater than 0. So thanks a lot, you trailblazer. But as mentioned
Twice,
before,
yes.
Adultery is not alone, as 2 other titles were also released under the Diplomat banner. Let's look at the other release from 1969 as Diplomat unveils their new take on a timeless classic, Strip-Tac-Toe. Does anybody else feel underwhelmed? Yeah, after the absolute behemoth of the last
Really?
release, a naughty version of Tic-Tac-Toe doesn't quite carry the same punch to the jaw. Some
Tic-Tac-Toe is
definitive
lame.
middle child syndrome here. But
It's
that doesn't
basically
mean it isn't interesting,
unwinnable.
because when you see that Diplomat sticker, you know this thing is going to have some serious nonsense garbage going on. The game can be played either 1v1 or with even teams, with the box directly stating
Someone
that
with
up to
even
16
base level
people can play
intelligence
total.
is gonna,
Players
like,
line up on each side and light the candle.
just
Please
block whatever
don't
move
put
you
the candle
do.
on the sheet. That is a completely different game called Arson. To play, you remove an article of clothing and place it down to mark a square. Then your opponent does the same. Play continues until one player gets 3 in a row or a draw occurs. Hey, wait a second, they totally ripped off Connect 4. If you win a round, you get to take a bonus card, which will carry 1 bonus action. But the real benefit is that you get to place that bonus card on a square in lieu of one of your
Twister
articles next round. Clothing
can be
cannot
sexual, I
reused once it
guess.
has been placed down, and once
But
a player
also
has no
difficult.
clothing left to place, they are declared the loser. The player or team with clothes left is the winner and gets to blow out the candle to signify the game's end. Picture painting time.
Also,
Someone,
make sure you
somewhere,
take a
at
bath
some
before
point
Twister.
in time has gone up to their friends and
saying.
asked, "Hey, do you want to play Strip-Tac-Toe?" with a straight face. And as much as I hate to be mean to the guy, but they are definitely not friends anymore. So, with 2 of our terrible triple covered, let's head now to the youngest of the 3, being developed in 1970 right before Diplomat vanished off the face of the earth. Our final game is another original creation by the player's choice.
Can't imagine why they're
Bumps
not around
and
anymore.
Grinds. This title more than lives up to the Diplomat name, joining Mr. Bacon's Big Adventure in the distinguished
Oh, that's
hall of
them
games
too?
that can kill
Lawn
their players
darts?
while looking for new members. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. A quick look
They
at the
made lawn darts! That game is literally banned. Eat with clothes on. Sexy.
board will tell us what we're dealing
Why
with
is
here,
with
and I
clothes on
swear it's not
there?
Monopoly. Bumps and Grinds is much simpler, as players maneuver their way around the board while attempting to lose all of their clothing in the process. Yes, I said there. Contrary to the last game, the winner of Bumps and Grinds is the person who loses all of their clothing first, which opens up a whole new level of strategy for anybody looking to win at Bumps and Grinds. You move around the board by rolling the dice and advancing to different spaces, each carrying their own effects. These can range from free spaces to making a certain player strip to moving around the board, or the most interesting option of drawing a card. There are 2 decks possible to draw from, and the cards carry a diverse pool of effects like expected options of forcing other players to drink or lose articles, sending you to the bar, the jail equivalent here, and covering up safe spaces, or more
The bar
wacky
is the
options
jail?
like tell a
What?
joke, do a no, and the false modesty card, which can be used in place of removing an article. An action, may I remind you, that will negatively impact your chances of winning the game. All in all, yes, some goober activity, but nothing quite the level of adultery. At least that would be the case if not for one component that I have specifically left out until now: the candle. See, just like in Strip-Tac-Toe,
Candle?
the winner of the game gets to blow out the candle at the end, but this
I'm
candle is
scared.
special in 2 major ways that honestly make it one of the worst game components of all time. See, the rule specifically
You have to
state
dribble
that the
hot
game
wax?
can only be played by candlelight, and with the candle this small, I highly doubt that you are going to be illuminating this board well enough for everyone to see clearly from all sides. In fact, this rule is so stupid, the two people on the front of the box aren't even obeying it, because just behind this sensor bar, you can very clearly see an active fireplace raging. The only way this candle is lighting up anything is if you put it right on the board, a detail that people who have been paying
Bad
attention to
idea.
the board will know as they specifically highlight a place where the candle must rest. Now, let me remind
That's a
you
fire
what this
hazard.
candle looks like. A straight up stick with no restraints placed on this dinky little dish. So your open flame, which is your only source of light, is
Damn it.
resting only on its wax structural integrity on top of a highly flammable board, on top of highly flammable carpet, next to highly flammable clothes, which are spread out everywhere. Brother, this thing is going to burn your house down. Membership accepted. The only other noteworthy part of this
lemons.
one is that mini copies actually appear to be made by a company called Topco and not Diplomat. So what gives? Well, it appears that the
Topco.
Diplomat Sales Co. wanted to distance themselves from the whole adultery thing, so they decided to switch
What?
up their branding and become Topco.
Why did you make an
instead.
adultery
I am
game to
confident
begin
that
with?
These two are the same, due to the fact that during their swap, Topco used not only the same font, but the same background for their logo. In addition to that, there are copies of this game in the wild with the original Diplomat logo on it, so I'd say it's pretty safe to assume
Topco.
what
No
happened.
bottoms allowed
Nevertheless,
in this
the Diplomat
company.
trio reigns supreme, and I've taken notes from our prestigious middle child here for my own board game build. Just add a naughty theme to a beloved game and watch the money pour in. That's why I've begun development on Strip the Campaign for North Africa, guaranteed to set the mood in as
Excuse
little
me?
as 15 years. Signing off for Fire Hazards, I am Cam Sandwich. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. A special thank you to all my patrons over at the deli. If you'd like to join, every dollar you contribute will go towards getting a copy of TCFNA TDW 40 to...
Alright, what else do we have? Worst Wii games ever made. Let's fucking go.
The Nintendo Wii, the favorite console of kids with divorced parents. I remember my first Wii, playing New Super Mario Bros. On that, Mario Galaxy 2, great games. But it's almost been 2 decades since the Wii came out, and man,
Just
my thoughts on the
2, not
console
the
have changed
first one.
drastically. What used to be a favorite platform of mine has honestly become something I absolutely dread. And anytime I know I have to play a Wii game for a video these days, I just remember that I'll have to be dealing with the god-awful motion controls. Sure, the Wii has a bunch of great games, Skyward Sword, Mario Kart Wii, Punch-Out, but what about
Skyward
the games
Sword,
that we've all chosen to
great
forget
game.
about? And what about
I
the
think
games
you're a little
that
confused
no
there,
one
buddy.
ever bought? I decided to do a deep dive on the worst reviewed Wii games of all time, and you wouldn't believe how awful it gets. Even featuring
an
a game with a
Elvis
rating
game.
of 8 out of 100. Usually I look forward to playing these
A
games,
game where
but I
you
can
can
assure
play
you
as
while
a
recording this footage there was no
plagiarist
fun
and
to
a
be had. These
pedophile
games
at
are
the
more of a
same
torture
time.
method than anything else, and I was absolutely miserable through the making of this video. But everyone, please enjoy watching me play the worst Wii games ever made. Now, step 1 for this video was deciding which games to feature, and thus I had to do some digging on review sites to find something. But a major issue I ran into was that bad games generally don't sell well at all, and thus don't get reviewed quite as often as, say, a major AAA title. So these games weren't
Elvis.
exactly easy to find, and naturally when I have a ridiculously obscure question
Is
that a
that
Google search
fucking
wouldn't
Newman?
find, I turned to the internet cesspit, Reddit. And man, the thread I found here is just fucking diabolical, so we're just gonna read it start to finish. My 8-year-old cousin is a little shit. I fucking hate him. He's gonna be getting a Wii for
Yeah,
his birthday,
this is
and
a
I haven't had to
Redditor,
preload the
alright.
games. Thought about taking the high road, getting him some great games like Mario Galaxy 2, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but nah, fuck that. I want this fucking kid to suffer. He's an entitled shit, so it's not like he'd be thankful anyway. Might as well give him garbage. This Wii will be his first game console. If there's one thing
Lovely.
that Redditors love, it's suffering. And so now the most diabolical, terrible games hidden away from the public are now quite easily found in a nice list. This dude's pure, unbridled hatred for a fucking infant child is the single best compendium of bad Wii games on the internet. And now we're at step 2, where I had to take my list of about 15 games and figure out
Fucking
exactly
hell.
how awful these games truly are.
It just reminds me of that fucking Reddit post where, like, yeah, I know, Ninja Bread Man had a lot of clones. Anubis the Second, fucking, some toy shit. I don't know. But, what was I gonna say? Well, now I forgot.
But it's also here I ran into a little bit of trouble. The vast majority of these games are extremely obscure and had horrible sales, so the amount of available reviews for these games ranged anywhere from 10 to 0. I'm serious, there is a game on here that did not receive a single review, and thankfully this is where Metacritic came in clutch, providing a
right.
Metascore for 6 of the 10 games we're going to go over. The rest
Yeah, I saw a Reddit post where, like, someone took a fucking photo of someone's door, and the door had a sign that said, "No candy if you have a Fortnite costume." This is like a Halloween thing. Which is so sad. Imagine being that fucking pathetic. Where it's like, oh, you're wearing a costume from a thing I don't like? No candy for you. Yeah, just ruined some random kid's Halloween. Cool stuff.
on the other hand, Metacritic received so few reviews that they didn't even get a Metascore. So for those, I just dug up an IGN review because apparently those guys just review anything. But like I said, there was one game on here that no matter how much digging I did was reviewed by absolutely no one. So how bad could it possibly be, right? And so now I have an ordered list of the worst Wii games ever made. And part 3 to this was to find, buy, play, and record the games. So I got in my car and headed through the hellish wasteland known as Ohio towards my local GameStop and handed them a list only for them to tell me they had 4 of the games, leaving me $50 poor and 6 games to go. So after making a few phone calls to various places, I went to eBay to source a used copy of all the games, and let me show you the total bill. Yeah, this shit is not cheap. And usually this is where I'd scrap the idea in general, but then something you wouldn't believe happened. Somehow, when I got home, the other 6 games magically appeared on a folder on my PC. Wouldn't you believe that? Don't question how they got there. It was definitely magic and probably legal. But on the topic of legality, Nintendo's being a bit of a prick to the emulation world, and I highly speculate they'll be cracking down on any form of illegal game pirating soon. So let me show you guys how to legally dump your discs in case you want to play any of these games, but don't want Nintendo to come and break your fucking kneecaps. So all you'll need is a functioning PC, a Wii game of your choice, and the Wii's SD card. Now it is worth saying that you can potentially do this with a USB storage device, I'm pretty sure, but I've never really bothered with that. Also, make sure you've already installed the Wii Homebrew channel to your Wii. I'd show you how to do it, but I already have it, and I'm scared of Nintendo at this point. And I know the game dumping part is legal, but I don't know about the Homebrew part. Now, what you'll need to do is download 2 different programs to your PC. The first is called CleanRip. A simple Google search should bring you to it. Just download that and throw it onto your SD card. Now, the second program I use is called HJSplit. That one you just keep on your PC for later on. And people, when using the internet and downloading softwares like this, please be careful. Don't just click any download button. Make sure it's the legit one. Make sure you use an ad block. Just be safe, okay? Even on reputable sites, you will find all kinds of stuff. Now, take your SD card with the CleanRip on it and throw it in the Wii and open up the Homebrew channel. From here, the software should pop right up, in which case start it and just answer the questions it throws at you. If you're using a USB device, select that. If you're using an SD card like I am, choose that one. Then just click yes through the next couple questions. Then it'll ask you to insert the disk you need to extract. So do that and you'll actually start the main process. Once it asks you for all the file information, don't overthink it. Just set the chunk size to max, set the bottom setting to no, and start the ripping process. This takes a minute usually, but once it finishes up, just take the SD card, put it back in the PC, and open up the main folder. Here you'll probably see a lot of things, but you're looking for a file labeled with a code, and then parts 1 through something. This is the actual game file. That little code there is actually the official name the Wii uses for each game, but the problem with these files is that it's one big file that's been fragmented. So we take that other cool software, and then we just stitch them together, and voila, you have a fully legal, Nintendo lawsuit-free copy of any game you own. Or you click the funny button on the completely ad-free, safe website that's been in operation since 1997, which will save you, I don't know, half an hour? Just saying. So now we have all our games ready to play, and we're going to be going down through these games from best to worst, and get ready, because we are starting with an absolute abomination, Family Feud 2012. Coming in with a 47 out of 100, we have a genuinely good idea executed with the same level of skill as Ricky Berwick playing the guitar. Family Feud's been around for forever now, and it's even so popular in the US that the British just, like, straight up stole the idea.
Michael Flatley!
Typical British shit. Family Feud games have actually been done all the way back on the PS1, so why don't we take a look at the first 2 Family Feud games just to get a quick reference here. So the first game in the series released in 2000 for the PS1, and Jesus Christ, this is worse than I ever could have imagined. For starters, the game is just obscenely dark, and I don't mean in like a Silent Hill story kind of way, but just in terms of brightness. Did someone accidentally turn the opacity down or something? And I mean, I already made the Silent Hill joke, but I mean, come on, right? So a theme with these games is that we get to create a family, keep your brain out of the gutter, you freak. And oh god, what is this? You know what, maybe we'll just try again with the PS2 game, right? Seems reasonable that they could do a much better job 6 years later, so let's try that game. So off rip, somehow the graphics went from too dark to now just having this thick layer of bloom and Gaussian blur. Why does this keep
Ew,
happening? How do you
bloom.
keep messing up the visuals for a game show? Well, let's just play the game. Name an accessory that kids put on their bikes. Okay, 10 seconds. Hold on, man, hold on. Okay, here we go. Lights. Easy money.
There are 3 answers.
Okay, so these games are horrible and have literally never been good. So exactly how bad is this Wii game gonna be? Well, let's dig into it. So have you ever watched Family Feud? It's the exact same thing, except you can bring your Mii's into the
Okay.
game and get to stare into the soul of the uncanny valley eldritch horror of a Mii that you made in the Mii Maker. But gameplay-wise, to be honest, this is more or less the same concept as every other Family Feud game ever. The host comes up and asks you a question, and you need to fill in the answer and pray to God the game
Okay.
isn't gonna be a dick and only accept the scientific answer to these questions. But also, while the host is voiced reading the questions, for some reason they didn't bother making lines for any of the answers. And I understand since you can put anything into the answer box, it would be impossible to cover everything. But when the board is cleared at the end of the round, he just yells the number, and the Mii's say nothing, and it's just a really awkward silence.
Number 4. Number 5 was...
But realistically, all of that can be forgiven. We haven't even gotten into what makes this game so bad. And to be completely honest, it's not entirely the game's fault. My issue with this game is that the Wii is a piece of shit console.
You know, I'm not fond of, like, AI, but I think an actual good use for, like, AI voice synthesis in games would be, like, custom text. Like, imagine if characters in, like, Persona 5, for example, actually said the name you put in.
Motion controls are genuinely the worst thing to happen to gaming, and it makes this game infuriating. See this time rep here? This counts down how long you have to type in your answer. However, you're forced to
Name
use the
something
fucking
that
motion
might be
controls,
floppy.
and you better pray that IR register is working and you don't lose that cursor, because if you do, you will learn what a panic attack feels like very quickly. Overall, this game isn't entirely awful, hence why it's the highest rated game on this list. And I guess if played with a group of friends, it could be a ton of fun, but in execution, the game just kinda sucks. So let's see what we got next. Clocking in a 40 out of 100, we have a staple of Wii games with everyone's favorite, Monkey Mischief. Now, already this game sets itself up for success with this being a minigame collection or a party game. What could go wrong, right? Well, let's just start with the opening cutscene, because honestly, this doesn't even look that bad at all. Everything is
I don't think
animated
the
and sure,
AI
it's a
is
little corny, but it
that
gets the idea across. A
complicated.
group of monkeys break out of wherever the fuck they were being held, and now they just want to wreak havoc on the
Oh,
area.
wait,
Makes
I
sense to
get
me.
it.
And
Never
oh
mind.
god, the fuck is this loading screen?
Oh, I
there
hate
are
that.
5 frames to this animation, and man, it just seems like all the budget went into that intro cutscene. What the hell happened
Oh,
with these
dear.
menus? Why are the colors so dry? This
There's so
doesn't
much
bode well for what we're
shovelware
about to get into,
on
does
Wii.
it? So we have a collection of
It's so
monkey-themed
weird.
minigames, and unfortunately, all of them are based on motion controls to some degree. So the first game is just trying to get fruit at the bottom, but how the fuck do I get down? So the instructions for this are, and I quote, crank up and down to raise and lower the platform. Why was this phrasing chosen for a kid's game? Did fucking Dan Schneider write this tutorial? I legitimately couldn't get this to function. I can get down there, but it seems like no matter what, you just get hit by the rhinos before you can get anything, so what the fuck is the point? No one expects party games to do anything other than be
Hello.
functional at a base level. Okay, you know what? Let's check out game number 2, where you need to spin around a
Welcome
hippo
to
and throw him
chat.
into the pond. And of course, furthest distance wins. Well, would you be shocked to know that the hardest part of the entire minigame is praying the motion controls work? Look, I can get this relatively consistent, but even so, every once in a while, my character just gets hit with like a fucking lobotomy mid-swing and stops what he's doing. Actually, I found this out after I had researched the video, but JSlat actually did a full video on this game, and I haven't watched it, but I'm sure
that's
anything
funny.
that dude made is infinitely funnier than anything you'll find here.
Get back up on the platform. Get back up on the platform. There's one fucking coming.
And can we talk about Steak Steel for a second,
might be
please?
worth
This is
watching.
just a fishing game that was so poorly coded, it is effectively a game of chicken. See these lions here? They're guarding their meat stash, and if they catch you, well, they can literally pull your ass off a tree and rip you to shreds. And here's the kicker. The lions can kill you well before you get the meat, meaning you have to wait for 2 people to kill themselves before anyone gets a chance to play. Okay, I'm getting heated. I need to take my mind off things a bit here. How about we talk about a beloved movie franchise? Alvin and the Chipmunks. Now, I'm not gonna sit
Oh,
here and lie to you
boy.
and say that I like Alvin and the Chipmunks, even though as a kid I can vaguely remember being shown the movie where they're stuck on an island at least 10 different times in school
That's
for some reason.
funny.
But they decided to make a few video games for Alvin and the Chipmunks, and wow, they put nearly zero effort into this. So for starters, this is a rhythm game, which I guess makes a lot of sense actually, but I'm not even messing with you. There isn't even a tutorial when you start the game. It just assumes you know what you're doing. So I had to go into the in-game settings to discover a tutorial that appears to have been made in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to show you very quickly how the game decided to try and teach me to play this, and then I'll translate it to English. This graphic here was supposed to be the perfect explanation for how the game is played. Now, I don't know if this makes sense to anyone watching, but I had to actually go and find a manual for this game. Essentially, moving the Wiimote up or down activates the bottom right timing thingy, and moving the nunchuck up or down activates one on the left. Now, for the top two, you need to hold down A on the Wiimote or Z on the nunchuck, and then do the same thing. Now, let me pose an interesting question. If you need to swing the Wiimote down to hit a note, what motion returns it to neutral? Obviously, it's up, but that also activates the trigger again, meaning once you go down for a note, you better lock your wrist in place until you need to use it again, and even then, sometimes it just chooses not to work. I'll say it again, forced motion controls are the worst thing to happen to the gaming industry. You know what's funny about this to me? The second I saw this, I got major PTSD to that one mission in Jack 3, but even that game got this right 3 fucking years earlier, man. It's just
Fucking
crazy.
loot
But even
boxes are
assuming the
worse
controls work decently
than
well for this game, it's
microtransactions.
effectively just gimped Guitar Hero because, Jesus Christ, look at Alvin here. Also, the game menu makes you choose between easy, medium, and hard, and for some reason the chipmunks get highlighted blue instead of their unique colors, and that alone loses points with me. But now that I'm thinking about it, I only ever watched Alvin and the Chipmunks Chipwrecked. I've never seen any of the other films. I heard
saw
they
the
made a Wii
first
game for that
one.
movie too. What the fuck is that game like? Well, thankfully it's
They're
not
not
a note-hitting
good.
game. Instead, it's a dancing game. I mean, shit, I'll bust it down real quick.
I mean,
Nothing
they're
makes
fine
me want
for,
to
like,
dance quite like anthropomorphic
dumb
creatures
kids'
dancing in
fun.
strangely robotic ways.
Dumb
Was this what the
kids'
movie was like?
movies.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I don't remember this at all. Maybe I'll go
Damn it.
watch those movies. I bet they age poorly.
Guys, what's this about?
Oh
You got me
my.
fired. Alvin!
I'm already stroking my dick. I'm loosening my dick when I'm stroking my shit. I'm a freak, man.
The next game rated at a 30 out of 100, M&M Kart Racing. This is the first game I straight
this
up
is
just
an
couldn't
infamous
play at all.
one.
Now, unfortunately, I don't have a
What a
capture
funny
card, which is
game to
typically used to
create.
record retro consoles using a PC. But since they aren't upscaled,
Yeah, I've
they
always
just kind of
wanted
look
a
like
kart
shit. So what I
racer
usually
where
do
you
is just
play as the
legally dump my
fucking
copy onto my
M&Ms.
PC like I showed you earlier. But let me show you exactly what this game looked like on emulation. Forewarning, there are a ton of flashing lights, so look
I'm
away
so
if you're
attached
sensitive
to
to
these
it. I'm
candy
sure you get
mascots.
exactly why I didn't want to play this. So unfortunately, all of this footage isn't mine. I've never played the game a day in my life. So for starters, it's a pretty typical kart racer, but you get to play as the M&Ms with weirdly cool looking karts. But if you watch the gameplay, the collision with other kart drivers seems like stupidly punishing. And would you believe me if I told you there were forced motion controls? And look, with the success of
Yes.
Mario Kart Wii, it made a ton of sense for other game companies to try and replicate those controls. But I don't get why it's M&Ms, because they do nothing with the
Yeah.
license. I mean, sure, there are iconic characters like Red and Yellow, and of course they still have the sexy green M&M, making Tucker Carlson proud.
Is that the brown M&M has, quote, transitioned from high stilettos to lower block heels. Also less sexy.
And oh my god, the
he's
dialogue
so
in this
mad.
game is just incredible.
I can't masturbate to this.
The controls in this game are just so genuinely terrible, I struggle to find any footage of people steering these karts without crashing.
I wonder if that one, like, did that one DreamWorks kart
I mean,
racer
instead of
come
people
out
playing
where you
Mario
can
Kart
play
8,
as
this
Death?
looks more like people playing Mario Kart off an 8th. Now, just on account of the fact that I've never played it, I won't be too harsh on the game, but it is worth saying I found a mini documentary about a $100 bounty that resulted in the game being bizarrely optimized. It's worth a watch if you're interested in it. Every game before this point, definitely at a base level, was a video game, but from here onwards,
didn't
they
lose all
barely
that.
even function. Starting with the first game, coming in with a 30 out of 100 called Rock and Roll Adventures, a game where we play as a fake Elvis Presley and it's more or less a collectathon, but this is the first of a few games from a development
I
group known as
panic,
Data
Alt
Design
F4.
Interactive, or DDI for short. DDI made around 20 games from the late 90s to
Good
early
night,
2000s,
November.
officially closing in 2012. And in their tenure in the gaming industry, never once did they make one decent game. A few different times through this video, you'll hear me talk about this particular launch screen, the main menu, and its distinct lack of music until you hit a button. And that's
Elvis.
because through every one of their Wii games, I shit you not, they never bothered to change it. Just a color swap, logo swap, swap, and that's it. Same music, same everything. But let's talk about this game. This is a third-person platformer where you control yourself with the nunchuck joystick and jump by shaking the remote upwards. But in a platformer, jumping is 90% of what you're doing. So very quickly, you just look like you're giving a ghost a very wild hand job. So I figured out that the game is lying to you. And you can also jump by hitting Z, thank Christ. This isn't even mentioned in the manual. What the fuck? There are controls that the game just expects you to figure out. But now watch this lobotomy gameplay. Just walk in the direction of the giant arrow in the sky and hit the objectives. No real animations or quality sound effects. Fucking Banjo-Kazooie was better than this in 1998. And don't even get me started on the combat. We had access to the worst goddamn swing ever made. Look at this. It doesn't even work half the time. But okay, the game apparently has a shooting function, and in a shocking turn of events, it requires force motion controls. Now, surprisingly though, the shooting is the only part of this that works even somewhat close to how it was intended. I mean, the auto lock is pretty janky, but it's at least workable. But here's the kicker. It's completely optional. The in-game tutorial, once again, doesn't mention it, but you can just jump on the enemies and one-shot them. Why this wasn't brought to my attention is just beyond me. But if that's not your cup of tea, you can also just run past all the enemies anyway. No required combat, no boss fights, nothing. But if all of that doesn't bother you, there's one final nail in the coffin. And at the end of all of that work, the game's opening level is just bugged, and I can't even enter the portal for the next level after collecting everything. The base level expectation for a game is that it can be completed, and somehow the devs failed at that. I'm done with this one. I can't even stand it. All of that work for nothing. But we got to keep the ball rolling. Let's move on. Coming in with a 20 out of 100, The Ninja Bread Man. You know, clever title. I actually like this one. Oh god, not already. Not them again. Who was this made by? So let's compare the tutorials. Oh god, it's the same shit. Everything's the same. It's the same game. This is literally where my recording started and ended.
Yeah, they're all
40
the same.
seconds of total recording. I know exactly what this game was going to be, and I fucking refused to play it. So let's take a look at game number 7. Balls of Fury. Yes, based off of that Christopher Walken movie, scoring a 19 out of 100. This is a Wii ping pong game, which I actually didn't find to be that entirely awful, at least compared to everything else thus far. I mean, think about it. Wii Sports has a tennis game, and that's an absolute banger, so surely this is pretty similar, right? And I mean, it sort of is. For starters, there are multiple different characters from the movie you can pick from with unique abilities in the form of special shots. Now, I assume all of these shots are based on what the characters do in the movie. Randy has a crazy power shot, Fang has a useless teleport shot that the AI always gets anyway. It really is a great, well fleshed out system. You need to swing the Wiimote in the direction you want to hit the ball towards, and unfortunately there's no point in actually doing techniques like a backhand since it doesn't make any impact. Obviously the game isn't amazing, but I couldn't figure out what could possibly justify a rating of 19 out of 100. Apparently this game got grilled by critics for lacking any form of quality motion controls, which I do agree with. There isn't any way to add strength to your shots by swinging harder, it's just swinging forward or backward and holding a button if you want to add spin. It's less like motion controls and more like selecting one of 4 options, making the game kinda dry. But let's talk more about the special shots. At serve, you can choose to spend a bar of meter on a unique serve that has a low likelihood of working, or you can choose to spend meter on the more powerful shots that varies to each character. I shit you not though, half the characters don't do anything crazy, they just shake your screen a little bit and that's the whole shot. It might sound kinda weird, but a lot of tennis and ping pong games actually really resemble fighting games and how they're reliant on characters mix-ups and mind games, but this doesn't quite reach the potential that it has. The story mode is literally just the movie, but they chose to have a narrator talk over 240p screenshots of the film, and more than that, the actual matches in-game take fucking forever, with games being first to 11 points, winning by 2, meaning you can be in the same level for upwards of 20 rounds, which can take quite a while. Well, to be honest, this game isn't exactly good, but I'll go out on a limb and say it definitely doesn't deserve to be the 4th worst game on the list. I mean, come on, compare this to fucking Ninja Bread Man. This is at least like a 27 out of 100. But let's move on to our next game.
Anubis the second.
Okay,
Here we go.
I'll play this one. But if there are any game-breaking bugs, I swear to God, there's a pipe bomb with Data Design Interactive's name written on it. So, okay, just going through the tutorial again, this game is fucking identical. The music, the controls, the tutorial that just blatantly lies to you, the gates.
So this is
the only difference is a very minor palette swap. It was at this point I really started to question this video. Are people even going to enjoy this? I hope this is slightly more fun to watch than it was for me to play, because seriously, these games are miles worse than anything else I think I've ever touched. But before we tackle this game, this is Anubis 2. So what the fuck is Anubis 1? Well, an in-depth search revealed to me
It's
that
Anubis
this
the
game
Second.
doesn't have an original. This is Anubis 2, but there isn't an Anubis 1. It just doesn't exist. They wrote a sequel without making...
No, it's Anubis the Second. That's why it's a Roman numeral 2. Everybody mixes this up.
the original first. You just can't make this up, folks. The people at Data Design
That's
Interactive
not what
are
happened.
just brilliant, truly. And you know what's even better? I tried to play this
Anubis
game.
the
I
Second.
tried, I really did. I played through the entire first level, which, by the way, there
As
are
in,
only
this is a
3 of.
descendant
And at
of
the end of it,
Anubis.
the game bugged out and didn't
It's
spawn
not
the
that
final
hard
thing
to
I needed,
figure out.
causing the arrows to just loop me in circles in the final area of the level. I don't even know why I'm upset by this at this point. I mean, it gave me an excuse not to finish the game, but I am just in awe at how Data Design Interactive have failed to do anything even slightly playable. This British company, which don't even get me started on that, they have failed in 3 different attempts at reskinning the same
them
game.
being
How? Just
British?
how, really? At this point, it's gone from
What?
frustrating to just kind of impressive. But at this point, we're finally out of the weeds. No more of their reskin games, because our very next game is a kart racer, clocking in a score of 8 out of 100. We have Action Girls Racing with a Z. Wait, are you fucking serious right
I
now?
remember
There is
this.
no way they made a kart racer. No way. You know what? Maybe the kart racer's a little bit better, right? I mean, why the fuck am I even pretending? Of course,
Yeah,
a game with an
Railroad's
8 out of
British.
100 is gonna fucking suck. So for starters, we get to pick our character, and I guess I'm gonna choose her, I guess. She looks slightly less uncanny valley, I suppose. So apparently you have to manually unlock all the tracks by playing through this game, but let's at least start off with a small race on the opening stage to get a feel for it. Once again, you have to use motion controls, which, okay, at this point I have fully adjusted to the utter and complete horseshit these games throw at me. And just off rip, I mean, I actually don't hate the controls. I mean, it's a little weird, not gonna lie. It's like each driver took 12 shots before the race, but with a lot of braking, it's at least functional. But you know what I look for in a kart racer? I look for 2 simple things: map variety and a high skill ceiling. That's it. That's all you need for me to be happy. You know how many courses this game has in total? 4 tracks. A kart racer has 4 tracks. That's it. There are 4 layouts with slight reskins. What the fuck, man? And you know what the skill mechanics are for this game? Figuring out which walls are real and which walls you will just clip through because why not, man? And you know the best part of
Nice.
motion controls? When you inevitably fuck up and
Very
slam into a
big
wall,
rigs.
the game never tells you how to reverse. And when you do figure it out, you have to remember to tilt the remote in the opposite direction you'd think to use. It's just so impressively bad. And here's the other thing. I used every single available button, and I swear to God I couldn't get any of the items to activate. Not that I think the items were actually coded into the game. I'm convinced half of these are fake, but then randomly while I was driving, just using the accelerator, it just activates without me knowing. I don't know what I did or if it was real to begin with, but it's yet another simple thing the game managed to fuck up. And you know what could instantly fix half the game's problems? Just letting me use the fucking D-pad to steer and adding a drift. That alone fixes the overly sharp corners and annoying motion controls, and the lack of skill expression. There are no cons to this. Why, DDI? Why do you keep doing this to me? Why? You could have made a good game here pretty easily, and it seems like you put more effort into not making it good. Why have you done this? Is there some sort of hidden message I can't see? Probably not. And now, folks, for the final game that legitimately has an amazing story behind it, ladies and gentlemen, Sukaban Shoucho Reina, a Japanese exclusive title that sold such a minuscule amount of copies, it's been regarded as one of the most niche games ever made. This game sold 100 copies in its
How
first
much
week before
longer
being
is
pulled off the
this? This video is kinda mid, not gonna lie. It's a very generic, not all that interesting review. What's this? Bad milk.
I've not seen such bravery.
I love milk just about as much as I love getting haircuts. I have a tall glass of milk pretty much every night. So when I found out there was a game based around milk, wait a minute, that Spy Fox game was about milk too. Weird. But not as weird as Bad Milk, the game we're about to take a look at. This has to be one of the most bizarre gaming experiences
I thought
I've
that was
ever
the
had,
podcast
and
that got
I'm gonna be
Illuminati
honest, it was a little
canceled.
difficult to write a script for this one. Nevertheless, sit back and enjoy a truly one-of-a-kind gaming experience as we take a look at Bad Milk.
Dreaming Media, the group behind Bad Milk, still has a functioning website. Dashed with the stunning color of vomit green, the website hosts a total of 2 games. The first game, Bounce, which looks to me like an
Sick
80s
Kevin
design
MacLeod track.
pattern, is priced at $12.95 and boasts gravity, bumpers, wind, and holds.
Good thing Electric
The
is
second
not
game
here.
claims to be a new take on the ever-popular Wander and Wonder game genre. The price? No longer available. Intriguing, no? The Who Are We tab describes the developers in a weird slideshow clip art format. If this was a test of my patience, I failed miserably because No, I'm not reading this. Intrigued by a few screenshots I was able to dig up, and how could you not be intrigued, really, I set off on a quest to find not only a copy of the game, but a functioning copy. It took a while, but here are the fruits of my labor. Okay, stop. How can I already have something to complain about? It's just a splash intro, nothing weird here, right? Well, currently, you're looking at game footage that has been zoomed in on. The entire game plays out in a tiny off-center box at the top of the screen. It's really weird. Anyway, the intro to the game begins to unfold in beautiful, stunning, horrible, shitty-looking, awful FMV. We appear to be enjoying some first-person breakfast when we discover our huge mistake. Today's date is February 3rd, and the milk we used expired in October. Our reaction is priceless.
I mean, that's not good for you, but it's not like drinking cyanide.
So kids, this is what awaits you if you ever drink spoiled milk. Apparently, you exist in a black void with an archaic cell phone.
I drank spoiled milk once. It was pretty bad. And Adam told me to, like, drink alcohol or make myself throw up. Both of those options didn't seem great.
And spinning around in front of you.
We weren't expecting you to arrive so soon. I guess you drank some dangerously outdated milk. You can escape this
It's just
place,
like plumbers don't wear ties or some shit.
clever. If you're not.
So to escape from this weird milk dimension, we have to be clever. And if we're not, wah-ha, ha. That lovely phone message has granted us a new spinning object to interact with. This time it appears to be an underwater Walter White in a bubble. I mean, that's just my best guess.
Jesse, we need to cook. I don't think Nexon owns
so
this
now we
game,
have
and
drowning
no.
Walter White, frozen panting man, and different guy in a bubble, I guess. Let's check up on Walter
I am
first.
under the water. Please help me.
Okay, some dramatic music. Okay. Uh-huh. Oh man,
Hey,
here it
Electrica.
comes.
Good to see you.
Well, okay, Walter must be a little shy. Come on out, you can do it. And...
Also,
okay,
not on
fuck
Kick
you,
Chat,
Walter. Fuck you and
surprisingly.
your round-ass glasses, your goddamn goatee, and your stupid dramatic music. Oh, I see how it is. Not gonna come out now, huh? Walter's just gonna stay down there until we click on him, and when we do, he surfaces and
You're
gives
a
us an
pussy
important
boy?
message.
You must.
Okay, so he gives us part of an important message. It comes in 4 parts. You just kind of have to wait for him to go into and out of the water a few times.
You must turn heads 5 times. Lower level.
Oh, thank you, Walt. That advice changed my life. That's all he has to say, and any further clicking just has him repeating himself. Our next stop on our spoiled milk adventure is this strange man standing by a wall and panting. All right, what's this guy's story? Oh, there was something there for a second. Where was it? Oh, I get it. You click and drag the dude across the screen until he gets to the switch, which makes a sound.
A weird game, apparently, Electric. This video was recommended to me.
Of course nothing. What you obviously have to do is make sure he gets to both levers before you let go of the mouse button. Because
FMV games are so
very
weird.
Important to the milk, I guess.
It's like interactive Neil Breen movies.
Okay, now we've got a door and a hallway, I guess. Let's just go through the door then. Okay, maybe not.
Uh-oh, stuck in the dark. Better start walking.
Was that our thoughts? I don't know. Let's just move towards the door. Alright, I hear a phone, so let's try and move in that direction.
No, do not kill me. Do not kill me. Fuck.
Listen good. You must find your way through the darkness. There is another building where the telephone will ring once again. You must listen carefully to the next phone call.
Okay, so if after hearing that, you're expecting a pitch black maze type scenario where the only thing that guides you around are audio clues, then congratulations, you're like a fucking psychic or something. Yeah, so I'm not gonna drag you all the way through this part here, but I basically just clicked on arrows until I got to the next phone. There were audio effects to give me a sense of direction, but ultimately I just clicked on an arrow until I bumped into something, then chose a different direction to walk in. And when I finally got to the next phone,
There is something you must know if you want to escape. The rotating head is a combination lock. You must find the combination numbers and apply them in sequence. And by the way, sorry about the trap door.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we just died. Is the game over? Oh, nope.
in a
We're just
saw
back
trap?
here at the magical carousel of jackasses. Just like the last time, clicking on the person in the bubble gives us a weird transition into some new spinning objects. What are the screeching tires for? Who knows? I mean, my best guess is that it's a milk truck. But aside from being named Bad Milk and showing us drinking bad milk in the beginning, it doesn't appear that milk is that strong of a theme here. There's some reversed audio going on here, and when I turn it around using the power of editing, we get this message.
Tell it to you. I'm trying to tell you there's something I have to tell you. The walrus's paw.
The walrus's paw? The walrus's paw? Do walruses have paws?
Okay.
Okay.
No,
Well, now we
they
got
have
Smokey
flippers.
Joe over here, and to get him to talk to us, we have to pull a rope.
To be straightforward with you, and I never go back on my word.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nevis.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sui.
Uh-huh. All right, let's...
This audio is
Vermont.
so annoying.
Sure.
Beatles
Yep.
reference?
Know what I'm saying?
So
As in,
obviously the
I am the
quote-unquote
walrus,
puzzle here
or-
is that he's saying something backwards. Simply clicking on him flips him around and we get to listen to the audio in reverse.
Number is 7.
Oh good, great, grand. Thank you for this important information. Let's just open up our clue book here and see what we've got. So far we have you must turn beds 5 times lower level, Naber you 7, and we can't forget the ever helpful the walrus is paw. You know the drill, another bubble, another new room of spinning douchebags. What do we have here?
What is happening?
Okay, a guy walking back and forth coughing on a cigar a few times. Wait a minute, it all makes sense. Holy shit. The milk, the notes, the cigar. The whole point of this game is... wait, hold on a second, I'm getting a phone call. Let me go get that.
You will need to find the correct number for the top level of the lock. Move the walking man and watch for his cigar. He may be trying to tell you something.
Oh gee, thanks, Prima. That's the best strategy advice you could ever give me. Pay attention to the cigar, you say? Like I wasn't already doing that? Fuck this screen, we're moving on.
This is the sound.
Well, what kind of baby back bullshit is this? Oh my god, make it stop. God, get the finger on the record. Holy shit. This is way harder than it needs to be. Just hold down the stupid...
The sound of the clue you will need to find your way through to the end of the puzzle.
Oh my god, are you serious?
There's a word you will need.
Come on, just tell me the clue.
The word is...
This is so weird.
This is the worst thing ever. This is the kind of stuff where I can't help but wonder how it got past the initial design stages of a game. Like, who is the guy who said, for beating this puzzle, the player gets a one-word clue. They have to wait over a minute, though, while the idiot on the record ums and ahs for a while. Trust me, it's a great idea.
Oh, right. The word which you will need is albatross.
Okay, albatross.
Okay.
Great. We'll just write that down in our handy-dandy notebook and move on to the next thing, which I'm sure is just as nonsensical as everything else. Now would be a good time to remind you that this entire magical adventure of stupidity started by drinking what couldn't be more than a tablespoon of bad milk in a small cup of coffee. I just wanted to keep that in your mind. Okay, so we've got an eye exam thing here and...
You bastard!
Oh, of course. Another one of these. Again, I'm not gonna make you sit through an entire audio maze, but let it be known that in this one you have to go all the way to the end and then backtrack to nearly
kinda
the beginning.
feels like
I guess
Town
it only
with No
took me
Name,
around 7 minutes, but it
where it's
felt
just
a
kind of a
hell of a lot
shitpost.
longer. And at the end of the maze, a pitched up voice tells us that we're not well because of the milk.
You're not well, you see. You see, that milk was really very outdated.
Like we didn't already know that at this point. And then she says,
Have you seen the flamingo?
Alright, on to the next bubble. I still have no idea what our end goal is here, but I guess I don't really care. I'm just hoping we're close to being done. That's coming right at us! What the fuck? What the fuck? What the
Is
fuck?
that-
Okay, so I'm just gonna
is
tell
that
you all
Jason
that this is the
Statham?
final puzzle of the game. This mysterious floating head is a 3-piece combination lock, and as he spins around, he seems to grow and lose hair for whatever reason. So the big question is, where do we get the combination? Believe it or not, we already have the combination right here. Kind of. We wrote the appropriate things down, it's just that we have to translate them from garbled English trash into understandable concepts. And away we go.
You must turn head 5 times. Lower level.
Number is 7.
Okay, this isn't good. I don't like this puzzle
375
design
appears
at
to be
all.
our magic number. So let's just enter that in here and... Okay, let's try that again. Lucky for us, when you start the game over, you don't actually have to go through any of the horrors that we went through the first time. You can just go straight to the creepy-ass floating head. Okay, 375 and...
Okay. How rewarding.
Wait a minute. Do you know the passwords? If you don't, then go back and get them.
Aha! I do know the password, you douchebag. Albatross Flamingo. Thank you, diligent note-taking.
Breathe, breathe. Good, good. Doing fine.
Is this someone giving birth?
Breathing. I see the head. I've got the head.
Yeah, this is
Very
birth.
good.
What is happening?
You finally made it. You're so precious. Look at you. You're beautiful. We've been waiting for you. We're so happy you're here.
I don't like this at all. This is so stupid.
I'm sorry.
Synecdoche's
Did I
got
just play a
nothing
game
on
where
this.
I die from a tiny bit of spoiled milk and some coffee, and then, while in some strange afterlife, I solve a series of puzzles to receive clues so that I can unlock a spinning head and spell out 2 types of birds so that I can be reincarnated as a baby?
I never
Yes, I did.
turned off
So the
Restream
big question is,
YouTube
where
stream.
did this game come